Yeah, we'll be tracking things as it rolls in. The office where I am, we're not typically around the clock, but we ramp up, you know, for major events.
I know, I'm ready for this part of the Tennessee spring to be over.
Yeah.
It seems like we've had tornado warnings every other day. In the newsroom at least, we're just, I don't know, I'm ready for it not to be like this.
Well, I'm afraid, based on the briefing we were just in, tomorrow is going to be pretty active.
Yeah, no, we're all aware. Get our waterproof pants on. All right. Go ahead, look at me and just say your name and spell it for the record.
Bob Sneed, S-N-E-E-D.
And your official title?
My title is Water Management Section Chief for the Nashville District of the Corps of Engineers.
So tell me what you all are doing, sort of getting ready for this round of weather we're supposed to get.
Okay, of course we continually are tracking conditions, both weather conditions and river conditions. But the main things we've done in preparation for this rain is we've made some adjustments to our upstream storage projects where we're holding back more water there. We've cut back on those releases, and that's at Wolf Creek Dam, Dale Hollow Dam, and Center Hill Dam. And the result of that is a lot less water coming into the Cumberland River from our projects, and that makes room for the runoff that will occur when the heavy rains fall.
You said that you were just in a meeting this morning, or you're anticipating being more active, I guess, kind of monitoring this weather over the next 24, 36 hours?
Right. We'll keep close tabs on it, work through the night as necessary, and tracking the rains as they move in. We're expecting heavy rains, anywhere from 3 to 6 inches of rain probably in the area that we oversee, and also some severe weather. So there's certainly quite a threat for flash flooding and the dangers that presents on the smaller streams. Now currently the forecast for the Cumberland River is for the river not to reach flood stage. The current forecast for here at Nashville is a stage crest of 35.6 feet, and that would be early Friday morning. And that's flood stage is 40 feet, so that's what, 4.4 feet below flood stage.
So is this kind of a difficult, I don't know, juggling act, if you will, to make sure you let just the right amount of water through, not too much, because you have to, I guess, take into account how much rain is supposed to fall, how much you can let through. I mean, kind of talk about that.
It is. It's as much about timing as anything. One of the projects where we made a change yesterday is Wolf Creek Dam, and it's like 250 river miles upstream of here. So you've got to time things. You've got to go ahead and take action up there well in advance, so you'll see that benefit. Now, as we get closer to the Nashville area, Percy Priest is close by, so that's the one we can hold on to till the end and get the most benefit out of it. But it's a lot about timing.
Is there water going through the Percy Priest Dam right now, or are you holding off on that?
We are generating just a little bit there, 5 hours a day. We're making a release, but we're prepared to shut that off as we need to, should the Cumberland River rise significantly.
What are you all doing differently based on what happened last year with the flood? After all those reports, came out and procedures were evaluated, what are you doing differently this time around compared to last time, which was almost a year ago, I guess? Right,
we're coming right up on a year. There have been quite a few redundancies built into our systems as far as communication goes. That's probably the biggest difference, is just more and better communication between all the agencies. As far as the operations themselves go, the lakes, the dams are the same as they were a year ago, and they're being operated in the same way. It's just that the agencies are on calls together multiple times over the course of the day. As soon as we make a change at one of our projects, we alert the Weather Service, so they're aware of it as soon as it happens, and they factor that into their models when they produce their forecast. So if you let,
a 1/16 of an inch of water out, or whatever amount it is, you tell the NSW, and then they say, okay, well, we're supposed to get an inch of rain, plus we need to include that amount from...
Right. When they model the system, they've got to look at what we're doing, and then they also look at the rainfall forecast, and then how much of that's going to enter into the lakes and the rivers. So it's important for them to have up-to-date information on our plans. And so we generally, for a lot of the projects, can give them a schedule that's, you know, for the next several days. But the main river projects like Old Hickory Dam just above Nashville and Cheatham Dam, those could change hour by hour. So what we do is just anytime we make that change, we let them know.
So are there going to be folks, you know, in this central office, I guess, monitoring this, the river levels and dam levels throughout the night? And
yeah, we'll be monitoring, and also we have personnel that are operators at the projects, and they're there 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So they monitor conditions, and then if things, we give them instructions if we're not going to be there, you know, routine work. Now, as the conditions we have now, you know, we're going to amp up our staffing. We're going to be there longer hours, things like that. But they always know to call us. You know, if they see something unusual with the river, they'll call us and ask us for any guidance we might have.
You know, not to be alarmist or anything or dramatic, but it is sort of funny that it's almost a year later, right? And we're having another, you know, large rain event. Is this something you think is on people's minds in the Corps? Just, you know, really making sure that there's nothing that happens that, you know, is beyond your control?
Well, I think it's on everybody's mind, you know, certainly with us, other agencies, and just the citizens here. This is actually the third straight May we've had a pretty significant rain event. Certainly, you know, what we're looking at this year is, you know, nothing like what we had last year. It's going to be high water, and the river's going to come up, but based on what we're seeing now, stay a few feet below flood stage.
But you feel prepared that, you know, you're doing everything you can do, and you know, you can't help what the rain does, I guess.
Right, yeah, we do. We feel confident with where everything is. The system's in a good position to handle the rainfall. We've got plenty of room to store water upstream at our storage projects. And then by holding the flow back from them, we'll just let the Cumberland River come up, work its way down, and then we'll release the water in a controlled fashion.
Keep your eye on the forecast.
Always.
Any questions?
Yeah, could you show me, I mean, obviously the water's coming up down here, and people say, well, the river's flooding, but can you kind of talk about what the river looks like now, what it looked like last May, how high it has to come up?
Sure, in fact.
And actually, if you can just take me over and kind of point to whatever you're...
Do you see that structure on the end of the wall down there? That is the Nashville gauge.
I know.
You want to go all the way down there?
No, if you can just, we'll just walk over to the rail and you can point and show me.
Okay, so we're at Riverfront Park now, downtown Nashville, and the current stage reading for the river is about 24.6 feet. And if we put that in perspective, a year ago, the river crested at 51.86 feet. We can see the actual gauge in the distance there. Flood stage is 40 feet, so that should show up on that gauge.
So how high for the Cumberland to get out of its banks again? How much does the water have to travel?
You know, 40 feet, it's not going to get up onto First Avenue. We're going to see water up into this grassy area. Obviously, we're starting to get a little water onto this lower platform, so it's just going to gradually come up over the next, you know, we're seeing a little bit of a response to the rains we had earlier today. I was down here yesterday and the rain wasn't quite this high, or the water wasn't quite this high. So we're seeing a little bit of a response. That will pick up on Wednesday, and the rise will accelerate on Wednesday and through Thursday, and right now it's early Friday morning when the peak is expected. And again, that's at elevation over a stage reading of 35.6 feet.
And of course this park was designed to be
Exactly.
So it's not that dramatic if there's water out here.
There's not anything down there that's going to be hurt by a little water getting on it. And so that was taken into account. You know, the bottom line, this is a river, and it's going to go up and down.
How much does it impact other rivers that flow into the Cumberland and you know, I guess the stones that flow.
Well, the stones is controlled, and then the other streams that we would consider uncontrolled are streams like the Harpeth, and we're the forecast now that we're seeing shows the Harpeth exceeding flood stage. So the levels are going to come up on the Harpeth, similar for the Red River. The Red River is expected to exceed flood stage, and then White's Creek, Brown's Creek, a lot of the creeks that come into the river here in the Nashville area, they're all going to rise rapidly when and if the heavy rains hit. We're expecting those later today and through tomorrow. So those flows come in an uncontrolled fashion into the Cumberland, and that's why we want to cut back on the flows that we can control upstream at our projects where we have storage capability. Let that uncontrolled flow come in, the river comes up and it comes back down, and as it comes back down, then we can make releases from projects like Percy Priest on the Stones River, Center Hill on the Caney Fork River, and fill in behind that. And the whole idea of the operation is to lower that crest, and you want to keep it as low as you can. You can't avoid it. You know, there are limits to the system, but we want to use the system to minimize the flood crest.
But I guess the big thing to reiterate is just that last year with the historic flood, the National Weather Service wasn't informed about the changes that you all were making at those projects. And so that water being released into the river wasn't factored in to their forecast.
There was a little lapse there where partially due to some communication problems we had with equipment, and there was a little lag there with information, but that was quickly remedied, and the information was updated, as I recall, on Sunday evening during the event.
But that's not going to happen this time.
Right, that's not going to happen. Since then we've implemented, we literally call them as soon as we make a change. And we also have redundant systems. So if we were to lose our internet, we have the ability to still communicate.
Anything else you want to add? I think we kind of covered a lot of it.
Could you talk a little more about, you talked about the Red River, the Harpeth, White's Creek, those tributaries of the Cumberland. You said you're expecting those to exceed flood stage. I know you can't predict exactly how high and all that, but you know, how does the level of the Cumberland impact those? Obviously, you know, if it's trying to flow into the Cumberland's higher than normal. Well, are y'all expecting widespread localized heavy flooding?
There's certainly, you know, we're looking in the Middle Tennessee area, a lot of 5-inch rainfall, and that's an average rainfall. There's going to be high spots greater than that, and that's certainly of a high enough amount to cause flash flooding in the smaller streams. Not to the Cumberland itself, but the tributaries to the Cumberland. And as the Cumberland River level rises, there can be some influence from the Cumberland a short distance up the tributaries, but that does not extend very far. For example, in the May 2010 flood, a lot of interest has been placed in the Bellevue area and the really bad flooding that took place with the Harpeth River. But the operations on the Cumberland River simply can't influence that far up the Harpeth. They can influence up a short distance, but not the distance to Bellevue.
Gotcha.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Anything
now the Red River in Clarksville, that one almost, I heard that one like flowed backwards, like Cumberland spilled into the Red.
Yeah, you're going to get